Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this little card here represents Getaway Driver. I don't have a game box for you to show, but I do have a really cool game to talk to you about. I think it was that horrible stand-up comic Dane Cook who once said, every guy has always wanted to be part of a heist, and I'm sure there's lots of girls who would like to be part of a heist too. I'm just quoting the man. But regardless, I always thought heists were cool, but I grew up with my, my parents got divorced when I was young, and when I hung out with my dad, I watched all of these old movies that he really, really liked watching. And there were lots of Steve McQueen movies that he absolutely adored. And I grew to love Steve McQueen movies as well. And something you could count on nearly every Steve McQueen movie is a car chase of some sort. And I always loved watching these cars speeding down the roads of busy streets and, like, going down the wrong way down a one-way, and, as the cars are peeling and running into the newsstands and whatever. There was something about that I always liked. In the last, I don't know, I guess there was a game called Driver. There was a computer game. That was a while ago, though. But there has been actually kind of a little minor resurgence of, just a movies based around a Getaway Driver, if you will. And, I can think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head right now. Of course, I'm having trouble remembering the names. There was, something Baby. There was just Driver, which had the baby goose, Ryan Gosling, in it. But, so these had that theme going on where, for whatever reason, they've kind of romanticized this idea of they're the one person that can, drive and knows the city like the back of their hand, that sort of thing. So anyway, Getaway Driver is just that. It's a 2-player game in which one person is playing that person who knows the city like the back of their hand, who can pull off amazing stunts. What was it, Gone in 60 Seconds? That was a horrible Nicolas Cage movie. But anyway, that was another one. I just remember, he did that weird jump at the end. But regardless, anyway. So this is one person going to play that, and the other person is going to play the police force that is trying to capture them. It is a tile-laying game in which the city is going to be created, and it's created by the police player, but the tiles themselves are going to be discovered, and the city is going to come alive with the actions of the Getaway Driver. It seems a little confusing at first, but basically you have the Getaway Driver who is going to go through the maze of the city streets that the police player is going to make. They don't just get to pick and choose. They have to draw the tiles out of a bag. They're going to look and see what they have. They're going to try to guess what the Getaway Driver is going to do, and then they're going to place the tiles in the board. And hopefully they're going to put certain tiles in the way that are going to assist them in capturing them. The game is going to continue until either the police catch the Getaway Driver, or the Getaway Driver manages to get all of the tiles played, in which case then the chase is over. They've gotten away, and with the diamonds / plutonium / money from the bank or whatever, and they've succeeded in escaping. So let me show you how the game is played. It isn't super difficult. It's just one of those things where you're matching wits against the other person that you're playing. So you're not really fighting against the mechanisms of the game. You're fighting against the other player, which is something that I really, really enjoy. So let me show you how the game is played. We'll come back here, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to play Getaway Driver. Now, one of the things about Getaway Driver, it's like a tile-laying game, and like a lot of tile-laying games, you kind of have the attitude of, the tiles can kind of go anywhere. So, make sure when you play it in a big opening area, but, one of the cool things, and I'll talk a little bit about this later, is that You could, if you wanted to, introduce different things onto your board, just like objects. You know, like I could take one of my little container trays that I use. You've probably seen these other videos I've done. I use these a lot to, you know, hold cubes in and what have you. But like you could put these, something like that, out on the board, just to create artificial blockages. Like this could be, you know, like a pond or something within the city, that kind of thing. Or a park or whatever. But keep in mind that when you play the game, try to get the board, or try to play it on a larger table. It doesn't have to be huge or anything, but just make sure you're going to have room for your city to grow when you take the tiles out of the tile bag and you create the city. Alright, so one of the cool things about this is that there is like an open space mentality about it. As we lay the tiles down, the car, the Getaway car, which is represented by this little red race car here, and these are prototype components that I have, so just keep that in mind. The final game will have different ones. So this will have to stay on the tiles for the city that we create and put out. And the way that the Getaway driver wins is if all of the tiles come out of this bag. So, you know, so basically the police player who reaches in the bag to draw tiles, if they don't have any tiles to draw to complete the map, they're going to win. The good guy, or I shouldn't say good guys, maybe the police are corrupt, I don't know. The police win if they get the pursuit meter up there all the way to the end over here in red, and that means, and I'll show you how that happens as well. Alright, but as I said, it has like an open space situation. Police cars, which are represented by these little blue race cars here, and also like this armored car and this motorcycle and this helicopter, which actually is a jet for me here, but once again, prototype components. They are able to move off of the board, technically. So like, I'll show you how that works, but basically as the tiles go out, police cars actually will start usually off the board. I mean, because when they get placed, they have to be 2 spaces away from the Getaway car. So it'll make sense here in just a moment. But all right, so these yellow cubes. These are like stashes that the criminal in the Getaway car has placed in and around the city. And to begin the game, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to like kind of just drop these on the table like so. And that actually was a pretty bad drop. I'm going to give it a little more oomph here. The thing is that you can't have these too close, and I'll show you how that works as well. So let me just kind of just trickle these down a little bit here, so that's much better. So spread them out. Now some of these are still too close. So you're given like these little the backs of the player cards are given these little measuring sticks, so you can kind of get these things, you know, they can't be too close together, and the police player actually is in charge of doing this, so they can kind of move this one over here, maybe, you know, that one's going to have to move a little bit further out, and so they get to kind of create some, and the board as far as where those cubes are going to be. Now notice how we haven't put any tiles down whatsoever. You know, this doesn't really make any sense right this moment. But the Getaway driver gets to place this tile down. Now this tile is your starting tile, and they get to place it anywhere on the table. Now you have to kind of keep in mind that, like, you know, obviously when you put a tile down, then this is going to be able to be grabbed, that stash cube, and, you know, and so on and so forth. So, you know, you have these different places, and, you know, you do get to kind of center, you know, the cubes a little bit, just so that it makes sense where that tile is going to be dropped down. And so you're going to place this guy on there. Now, before we get to playing the tiles and whatever, and going through a turn, the driver of the Getaway car gets these cards, and there's actually more than just those. There's these as well, but they're going to start with 7 cards. And these 7 cards will have 2 uses for them. They'll have these special powers like step slam on the brakes, do not move this turn, any tailing police cars or motorcycles crash. And you know, the terminology that might not make sense to you, but it will when I show you. So they have these like special powers: move an extra space, turn the car on 1A, maybe used to avoid a hazard, so on and so forth. They also have these symbols: sidewalk driving, narrow alleyway, improvised ramp, and so forth. Now, those are used for when tiles get placed on the board that are going to have hazards on them that you, as the Getaway driver, can either A, use to like block or crash the pursuing police cars, or they actually can, if you don't have the right cards in your hand to be able to use them, they will actually impede you, and you'll have to go backwards, and most likely then the police will be able to catch up with you and start increasing that pursuit meter that's over there. Alright, so the rest of the cards start in your discard pile. That doesn't mean that you don't get them. These stash cubes, when you get them, you're able to spend them to pull cards out of your discard pile. So you can play them, and you're allowed to look at these cards at any time. It's your knowledge, whatever, which cards are in your hand, which ones are in the discard pile. The police have their own set of cards, as you've probably already seen over here. These are the different like abilities that you can have. They have different bring up patrol cars, armored cars, motorcycles. You have traffic cameras. You get to draw 1 extra city tile each turn, draw the tiles you wish to use, and then return the extra tile to the bag. That'll make more sense once again when I show you how you're drawing the tiles out of the bag and placing them on the board. And then dispatch, move any 1 police vehicle to within 2 spaces of the driver, set up police barricades. And you get these blue cubes. Certain tiles will have police shields on them. You'll see them in here in just a little bit. And whenever you get a police shield tile, you'll be able to, you know, draw and collect these blue cubes, which you then can spend on these little bonuses. And you don't have to spend them right away, but you know, on your turn you can spend them to do certain extra actions, if you will. All right. So how does the game work? Well, after you have everything set up like you have right here, the player is going to go ahead and the police player is going to draw tiles out of the bag. So when they play the tiles, depending upon, and the direction that the car is facing is super important. So if you notice that the red race car is facing forward, so you have that right there. They have to have at all times the Getaway driver has to have a left, which would be this person. If they're facing that way, that's their left, a right, and a forward option to go. So you are going to draw, in this case, 3 tiles, and later on you won't. And so with these 3 tiles, and I actually got I got 3 really good tiles here. So I actually have a crowded intersection. Oh, I apologize. There's one other thing you have to do. So after that is placed, you as the police player gets to place 1 police car on the board. This has to be 2 spaces away. So it could be like 1, 2. It could be like 1, 2, and you can set up any orientation you want, or like you could go like 1, 2 like this, or you could say 1, 2 like that. So maybe we want to set it that way because they have 1 cube right there. They have another cube kind of close. If we had placed it here, they could, oh, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to get close to that cube. And so we're going to go and set it up like that, and maybe kind of try to ferret and try to convince the Getaway driver to head that way, and that's like our plan. So I'll show you these 3 tiles, and I drew 3 yellow warning tiles, and I'll show you more tiles here in a little bit. Now, each one of these is actually really good because they're going to give us cubes. This one's going to give us 1. This one is also going to give us 1, and this one's going to give us 2. Now, these tiles are placed face down. Notice how they all look like that. So you're going to place these face down, and so we're going to be clever since we're trying to kind of shove them that way. We can put that one face down like so, and hopefully, and you know, obviously I'm playing both sides here, so you know, it's tough to, you know, read my mind. Well, actually, no, it's easy to read my mind, if you will. Now, I actually want to call your attention to both, like these little symbols up here, and also the yellow light. So the yellow light means that it is a possible one hazard that could be placed onto that tile. That's what these are. These are important because when the player gets onto that tile, the getaway driver, if they can match the symbol that's on there with one of their cards, remember, you can remember these symbols like sidewalk driving, narrow alleyway, and so on and so forth. So like you can see, like here's the one that says like road debris right there, and here is into oncoming traffic is what that symbol stands for. You are then able to place a hazard on that spot, and a hazard, because you know the getaway driver is so good at driving, the hazard, they can get through it, but because you know they're driving into oncoming traffic or whatever, they're able to get. But the police cars will actually, you know, smash into it, and the police car will be have to be returned to that board over there, and then the player that's running the police will have to spend cubes to get that patrol car back out. So we're just going to go ahead and place one there, and so then you put the cube that's there on top of it, and we're going to put this one here. So after you placed all three of those, then the driver gets to take their action. Now, the driver cards that they have, these can be played at any time. So if there's a special ability that you want to use, you can do that. You know, if you know, but a lot of them are going to be played in reaction to the tile that you revealed. Now, before they move, what they're going to do is they are going to make a decision. There's one thing they can do. They can choose to reveal a tile if they want to. And if they do that, that's considered they're driving carefully. They're not speeding down the road. They're like, you know, driving, you know, closer to the speed limit, not barreling down the road like a speed demon. But if they do that, you have to increase the pursuit meter by 1. Now, the pursuit meter can go back down, and as a matter of fact, the pursuit meter will always go down as long as you are not currently being tailed by a police officer. So in a lot of ways, you know, having an idea of what you know you're going to be facing is probably a good idea. But in this case, let's say we didn't do that, and we're not going to do that, and check out a tile. Now, obviously, if your pursuit meter was there and you decided to, you know, to look at a tile, that would actually cause you to lose the game, and the game would be over. But let's just move that back down. Now, when it comes time to move the cars, and cars will all move like this, when it comes time to move the cars, what you're going to do is you are going to, you can turn the car 190 degree before you move it, if you so desire. You can also, if you want to, just not move at all, but in a lot of cases that might not be a really good decision. But if you turn the car and you move you can turn to go there, and then you move forward like so. And so then you reveal the card. And so now we have, you know, crowded intersection, and the police car. We did exactly what we wanted, obviously, because I, you know, kind of cheated and made them do it. But you know, so the police player will get these 2 cubes. And they have those their example, and we place that here. Now we could, if we wanted to, if we look at this tile, you can see there is this, like, in the narrow alleyway, and we could, if we wanted to, play a card at this point. And then go ahead and place an obstacle on that spot. But currently, you know, the police haven't reached us in any way, so we don't have to worry about that. So we'll stand pat. We're driving fast. We're going good, and the getaway driver is going to not do anything, and they're going to say we're going to save our cards, because remember, you have to collect those yellow cubes to put cards back in your hand. So now the police driver is making it. So if there was a car tailing it, so like if these 2 are in the same spot, that's considered tailing, and so you would follow immediately, and I'll explain that a little bit more. That is a situation in which you would do an obstacle in that spot, because the police car has to follow, and if there's an obstacle in that spot, it is considered to be you know, wrecked, and you'd have to return it to the to the card over here. So, but now we move our police vehicles, as long as we don't have any tailors. Now, police vehicles can travel off the board. If we wanted to, we could move that way and just move one like that. They can go anywhere they want around the board. But, obviously we want to stay close to the other players. So what we can do is we can move forward one and, and maybe not turn. So like basically, we don't want to give them the option of going to that location, right? If we turned like this, we might be able to, they think that they can go this way or that way. But if we stay facing north, or I guess, up, or whatever you want to call it, we're going to give them the impression they were that way. Now, obviously, if we wanted to, we could turn and go for it anyway. But this kind of, in my opinion, when people see the direction, it tends to impose your will a little bit on the other player. And this is a lot of that. This is a game I knew I was going to like because it was going to have a lot of bluff and counter bluff. Like, where does the police player want to kind of force me to go? Where do they want to convince me to go in this direction? And are they thinking that I think that they think, yeah, kind of thing. I'll talk about that again a little bit later. But so when we move our vehicle, and now we don't have any tailing vehicles, so we're not on the spot. So now, and if we did have a tailing vehicle, we'd be able to increase the pursuit meter. So we can now purchase a police upgrade. And so we're going to spend our 2 cubes, right like that, and we're going to buy another police car. And having many police cars out is so important in this game. I can't argue enough. If you can get all 3 of them out, usually that spells bad news for the getaway driver. But so now we can go 2 spaces away, and so in this case we'll go 1, 2, and we'll place our police car right there. Now we're kind of we're hemming them in, right? We're thinking we're gonna get them and force them to make a tough decision on their turn. So we're done now as the police player. We've spent our cubes, we've moved our stuff around, and we're ready to go on to the next turn, and we're going to grab some more tiles. Oh, before I show those tiles, let me tell you 2 other things. Police cars, as you can see, will never reveal a tile, a tile that hasn't revealed. They'll never reveal a tile that's still a mystery to the getaway driver, because the police are considered to be driving safe at this moment. Also, the police player always has the option of not moving anything and not doing anything on their turn, in which case if they do, it's considered to be calling in resources and they get one of these blue cubes. Normally that happens when you've lost all of your police cruisers and you need to lick your wounds for a while to get enough cubes so you can put another one out onto the board. That's really the only situation I've had where that has happened, but that is an option for you if you lost all of your cars. All right, so now we're going to draw 3 new tiles because we have 1, 2, 3 spots that are open. So let me just reach into the bag here, shake it up a little bit, and we're going to draw 3. Something I should also mention is that you aren't, the police player is able to reach in and do whatever, and they can look in the bag, but obviously they have to shake it up before they do it. The getaway driver can never ask how many tiles are left in the bag. They're allowed to feel it, so they can, and I guess they couldn't be okay, 1, 2, 3, if there's that. So the spirit of the rule is that they can get an idea of how many tiles are left in the bag, so they can get a feel for how close they are to winning. And honestly, this is kind of a weird rule because of the fact that the number of tiles is a set number. So there's nothing preventing the player from 1, 2, 3 counting those and then deducting them. But obviously the rules are that they can't ask for to know the number of tiles. So that's the option that you have there. All right, so let's see what I got. So I got these 3. And I actually got a wide variety. So, all right, so we have we have road debris, which is a yellow. We have this vantage point. The green is just, it's smooth sailing. There's nothing bad. In a lot of ways, it's really good for the police because of the fact that they don't have to worry about there ever being a hazard on that spot. And then we have here the moving van. And the moving van is a red light. A red light means that there's going to be a hazard, and the hazard has to be taken care of by a card if the getaway driver ends up in that spot. And so, and they have to use one of these. Otherwise, they have to reverse back into the last spot they're at, which is bad news brown if you're the getaway driver. So, in this situation, we know if I was the police, I would be like, well, we know he's not going to want to go there because he's going to be right there. And in all honesty, we've got him penned in. We're going to get a point because if he goes there, that police officer is going to meet up with him. If he goes here, he's going to end up there. And so as the police officer, I really want him to go onto this spot because of the fact that, if he does, then, we're going to end up, jamming him a little bit, and we're going to be able to possibly, like getting this pursuit meter to go up. But the big thing is that you want the pursuit meter to go up. Obviously, that's the way you win. But you want the player to use up their cards. I mean, because that is kind of their resource. That's what keeps them out of jail. So my gut is just, and I'm going to go along with this, just show you how the game is played. My gut says he's going to turn and he's going to go this way, basically because there's more cubes over there that he's going to want to get. We're going to go ahead and put this red one here because I don't think he's going to go that way, and we're going to put the yellow one up there. So we placed our cubes, so I'm just going to act as the player, and so they're going to turn, and they're going to go one, and they're going to turn that one over. And they're going to like, oh, dang it. That's not what I wanted because it's a green. So, all right, but they've done their turn. So we will, then we go to the, they don't have any yellow cubes. So they can't go to the discard pile to get any more. So what we're going to do is we're going to move like here, and we're gonna keep him going straight. We don't want to turn this way because he's not going to double back. So we're going to try to pen off that spot. And now we're going to move our police car this way, and then we're going to turn so we were going the same direction as the getaway driver. Now we get to move our pursuit meter up by 1, and we've got him, right. We're in this situation where hopefully we can keep that police car stuck on his back wheels and eventually get that pursuit meter up to the red. All right, so we don't have any blue cubes to spend, so because we didn't get any from the tile that we revealed. So let's go ahead, and now in this case, we have a cube here, and we don't have cubes here or here. Now, if I was playing the getaway driver, I would turn and I would head to this direction, and I would hope that one is what we're looking for. So let's see here. Now remember, like the moment that we don't have a police car behind us, we're going to be able to reduce that pursuit meter by 1. So let's draw 2 more tiles. And let's see what we got. We got a yellow and we got a green. Well, I'm going to hope he goes this way. So I'm going to put the green there so he can't get that. And we're going to put the yellow over here, basically because we have to, because that's the only tile we have left. Now, I'm going to do this as the getaway driver. I'm going to turn and I'm going to head this way. We're going to collect that cube. So we'll be able to reclaim one of our cards. We're going to flip this over, and it's exactly what we needed. It is a road debris, and as long as we have a card like that, we can put a hazard down. Plus, we do have to give the police player a blue cube, but small price to pay to be able to escape. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look through our cards, and I remember we had one of those that had these into oncoming traffic. We're going to play the into oncoming traffic. It matches up with that, so we get to place one of these in that spot. And because that's on there, we know this guy's going to crash, and we're going to be okay. So, now we have a cube, so if we wanted to like go through our discard pile, which would include, you know, this card that we could, if we wanted to, you know, ramming speed. If you drive into a space with a police car or motorcycle, it crashes. That's a really good card. We could spend this yellow cube we just got on one of these cards, but it's always better to hold on to that, wait until we're in a situation where we desperately need one of those, and we can spend that to get it. So good idea to hold on to those. Right now, we're going to head this way. We're going to head this way, try to get over to here, try to get to the other cube, that sort of thing. All right, so the police turn. Unfortunately, we're in a situation where we were tailing, right? So what's going to happen there is that this one will turn. He'll move into that spot because he's considered to be like right on the back bumper of the getaway car. But we don't have the skill. We don't have the ability to avoid the obstacle. That's going to smash, and we're going to put that one over there. That stinks. So we're in a situation where it's like, he's going to get away. So what are we going to do? Well, I don't want him to get close to this cube. We want to push him the other way, and hopefully we can get some more blue cubes. So as the police player, what I'm going to do is, and the thing is that, you know, it might have been actually a wise thing to do on my turn as the getaway driver to actually reveal this tile first. You know, that would have pushed us really close to the end, but the thing is that we knew we weren't going to have another police car on our tail, and that was going to reduce. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to spend this one cube, and we're going to do the dispatch. Move any one police vehicle that's on the board already to within 2 spaces of the driver. So I don't want him to get that cube, so I'm going to place basically calling all cars, head over to this road. We get to just kind of teleport him over there, and now he's in a situation where on my next turn, when I draw, you know, like, you know, I'm going to be placing a tile here and here, and hopefully we're going to kind of push him in a direction we want him to go. So now this is going to go down because we aren't tailing him anymore. That stinks, but you can kind of get the feel. Now I'm not going to keep going and keep showing you how the game works in every single spot, but the whole point is that as you play this game, the city is going to be created. You're going to be chasing each other around, and it's really 2 separate games in a lot of ways. The police players setting up the traps, basically setting up the trying to outthink the other player, and the big thing is that you want to kind of try to force the getaway driver to go back on like the same roads that they've already been on, because that makes sure that you aren't drawing any more of these tiles out of this bag, because I mean, they have to go through this bag of tiles in order to win. So here, I'm just going to draw 2 more. We'll see what we get, just out of curiosity. Oh, perfect for the police officer. Not so good, you know, actually for well, actually, you know, both sides is actually pretty good, because with the yellow, I mean, is good because of the fact that for the getaway driver, because they're able to create that barrier that the you know, a tailing cop will run into. But this one has 2, so I would guess that he would turn. So you put that 2 over there, and you put this one over in this location. Most likely he would turn, go here, turn this over. And maybe, you know, he would like, we'd spend one, maybe just turn it over and see what it was and reveal it, and be like, I'm going to give you two cop points, but, you know, I'm going to do it anyway. So I'll spend those 2. I would get 2 on my turn. So now the police officer, you would move that forward, and then you'd spend these 2 probably. I mean, maybe you'd want to hold on to, you know, do you hold on to and like get your armored car because it can go through a hazard, and so like you can stay right on the rear end, you know, and smash through a hazard. You only get to do that once, or like the police motorcycle, 1 time can move an extra space. The police helicopter is really cool because if you can save up to 6, which is a huge deal, but if you can save up to 6 points, you can move through hazard without crashing. So all of a sudden now you just have a unstoppable seeking thing. They can't be stopped by the other player, which is obviously, you know, pretty powerful. But you got to save up, and you can't really do anything else with it. And if you wait that long, most likely it's going to be too long. So you spend the 2. We're going to get another one, and, you know, I want to protect this cube. So we place that on that spot with that cube, and then we'd go with the next turn and so forth. But you can kind of see how the flow of the game works. Like I said, it is a game of cat and mouse, literally. And each side has their own way of winning. I mean, it's just and as you play, the different ideas and the storyline and the narrative of the game kind of really comes through. And you're going to reference tons of car chase scenes from tons of movies that you've watched or TV shows, whatever, which is obviously part of the fun as well. As far as two-player games go, this is awesome. There's just something really fun about watching the city get created in front of your eyes, and it is just fun, playing both sides of this classic, movie, thematic clash, if you will. But let me talk about all that and more in my final thoughts. All right, thank you very much for taking the time. I can't, the guy up there who normally throws these, I kept throwing this up, but he didn't, anyway. So, I didn't have a box this time, I'm sorry. All right, so there you go. You should have a really good idea of how the game Getaway Driver is played. As I said, it's kind of a weird resource game, right? So the police player has the resources of the bag. Right, and so their whole goal, as I said, is to try to corral the player, the getaway driver, into going back over territory you've already put out on the board, discovered or not. Because when you do that, you're not running out of the stuff that's in the bag, which is your whole goal is to keep those tiles in there as much as possible. Obviously, as the getaway driver, your goal is to get those things, taken out and placed on the board. And if the police player is doing a good job, they're forcing you to make tough decisions as far as, do I go into that spot or raise my pursuit meter up by 1? Am I able to get it back down in time? So things like that, where you have to make those decisions, kind of, literally on the fly, and try to, win the game. I think, in my opinion, they must have tested this so many times as far as with different stash cubes that you collect and the police cubes. But the big thing is with those cards. In my opinion, it's such a delicate balance as the getaway driver as far as when you're going to spend those and when you're not going to spend those. I don't know how many times I played this as the getaway driver. I was like, you're losing the game and you got 4 cards in your hand. And you're like, if I'd spent any of those cards in the last 3-4 turns, this game wouldn't have been over. It's kind of, it's just it's ammunition that's still in the gun. Forgive the metaphor here. That you're losing and you still have those. It's dumb. You should have used them up. But then I've had games where I've used them up and then I'm just stuck with this bad situation where I can't get out of it. So. And the thing is that there's only so many of these yellow cubes. I doubt you'll collect all these. I think it's nearly impossible to do that because of the fact that they end up so far apart. But you have a pretty limited use for those. So it's a big outthink the other player thing. Where do they think I want to go? What kind of tiles do they draw? Out of the 3 tiles or 2 tiles or 1 tile, whatever they get, if they have multiple tiles, you got to think the police player is placing the worst one in the spot where they think you are going to go. And so then it's that bluff, counter bluff thing that I really, really like in games. I just like trying to think what the other player is thinking I want to do. So when I do a move, oh, I'm going to turn and go this way, and I hear the person curse, I know, I made the right choice, right? Or when they start to smile as I go on the spot, and I'm like, oh, what's behind this? And so then again, it also then has that reveal moment. I love reveal moments in games. It keeps people focused. It keeps people enjoying the game. It keeps people excited about what's going to happen. Now, the police player, as I said, has a kind of a different situation going on. I mean, they have a nearly limitless amount of resources, but their resource they don't have a limit that isn't limitless for them is time. There's lots of tiles in there that are going to give you those police cubes, and it's one of those things where, yes, saving up for that helicopter is a huge thing. Or even saving up for the traffic cameras is a really good thing as well. But for me, I've had most success when I've had multiple patrol cars. You want to have those guys, penned in. Now, you're going to end up having patrol cars left in the dust. It just happens, right? Because you'd be foolish to have patrol cars like right next to each other, because then the player will just drive away from all of them, and then you're like, oh, that wasn't a good idea. So you kind of separate them, and you close in the trap. So they're going to end up picking one way, and so you're going to have police cars left behind. But that's fine, right? That's why you have the ability to use the dispatch to kind of replace them and put them on the spot. But you have to recognize the fact that you have to kind of sacrifice them. You have to know that they're going to get smashed up, and you're going to have to return them to the card. And that's just the price of doing business. You have to keep the pressure on, and so you can keep that pursuit meter going up, going up, going up, and so you can finally be in a position where you're going to have that perfect tile. You've cost the player their cards, so like, remember, that's the resource that you have to deplete for them. You've cost the player the cards, and then you're able to get them in a spot where they aren't able to actually either A, put down an obstacle that's going to cause a car to crash, or B, running into a red light situation, they don't have the right card, they don't have a cube to buy it, and they have to go back, and then you got them. That's the whole point, right? And it really just feels like one of those movie chase movie chase scenes from the movies. That's a bad sentence, but it really does feel like that. I think like French Connection or whatever, which isn't a great representation, but I mean, like, that's the frenetic pace I'm thinking of. It makes me think of Bullet or things like that, where you have these cars racing up and down these streets, and and just somehow managing these crazy stunts and these crazy turns, whatever, until finally it ends up one way or the other, like the police or getaway driver winning. And I think that's probably the best part about it, because then when you get done with the game, win or lose, you get to look at the table, you get to look at the city, you get to look at all the places of carnage that you placed out, and then you actually get to you see it in your head as you play, and you get to relive that as well. And anytime you have a game that tells you a story while you're having fun, win or lose, you got a winner. So there you go. That is Getaway Driver. If you got any questions about it, please ask away. People say, what kind of games is it good for? It's good for, if you are a person that plays two-player games, this is a fantastic two-player game. If you like tile laying games, if you like reveal games, if you like the whole secret traps, placing them off the other player type of game, you're really, really going to like this one. So please, go ahead and check it out. And if you have any questions, like I said, ask away. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to tell me what your favorite chase scenes for movies are, please let me know. I'd love to hear those. Until then, take it easy. I'll talk to you later.